Hey guys, before we get into Duke Floki's 5 methodologies to becoming a better fighter, I wanted to give you a heads up and let you know that this video itself is actually in audio format. We ran into some unexpected issues with Zoom. It was kind of overloaded tonight for people with the coronavirus going around, so that's why it's only in audio form, but it is still available for everybody to watch. We also cut out a lot of it at the beginning because we were having a lot of lag issues during the beginning of the video. So we actually start at his number 3, but don't worry, we do go back and recap each individual one, and he kind of goes into detail about them again near the end of the video. So don't feel like you're going to miss out on anything by not watching this video. And from there on out, hopefully we have better luck with our internet service providers. It seems like it's been one big fun show from the beginning. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and if you do, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you would for me, because that helps us out a lot. It also helps me get promoted out there, and we can help more people with these videos going on. So with that being said, I appreciate your time and checking in on the video, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one as much as I did. Thanks, guys. So just to give a quick recap, we started with number 1, training consistency. Number 2 is repetition in practice. And then number 3 is context. So
context again, real quick. Context is, again, looking at actual sensible weapon systems, looking at historical examples. There are specific rules to fighting, to all fighting, martial arts, any martial art. It has to follow the rules of physics and biomechanics. And human beings figured out weapons and how weapon systems work well thousands of years ago. So in the SCA, sometimes guys get overly creative. They want to do kind of weird, strange things. They want to try things out, which is fine. But you're going to find that the closer your weapon system simulates actual weapons from a specific time period, the better they're going to perform for you, the better that system is going to serve you. And you keep it in context. For example, what I do with the Viking stuff, the shield that I use is the size of a shield that Vikings used. The sword that I use, the rattan sword, is based on swords from that period. The system that I use for using those is a system that is currently believed to be the best kind of example that they would have used in period. That's keeping things in context, really. Keeping it simple, keeping it So the next one that I have on here, I know is going to be one that you're going to like, is fitness.
yes.
Yeah. Fitness is going to make or break a great fighter. It's going to make a difference between a good fighter and a great fighter. Yeah, you'll encounter dukes that are carrying around a few extra pounds, but if you know that you have the stamina to wait them out, you will always be able to rope-a-dope those guys. Fitness is going to make a huge difference. And when we're talking about fitness, we're not talking about going to the gym, hitting your 1 rep max twice a week, and going home. We're talking about stamina. So cardiovascular stamina and muscle stamina. You want to do lifting exercises that are going to build stamina in the muscles. You don't need big, huge, strong muscles to do this. You don't need to be benching 500 pounds to be a good fighter in the SCA. A lot of those guys tend to not be that great. You need stamina. That's really important. The other important part about fitness is that it helps prevent injury. I blew out my ACL about 6 years ago, and I mean it's gone. Blew it out completely. Major knee injury. Took me about 4 months to recover. I was in pretty good shape when I blew it out. Better shape than I am now, to be honest. I need to get my butt back in shape too. That saved me and helped me get back to fighting. The fact that I was in such good shape, even when the injury occurred, I recovered very quickly, about 4 months, no surgery. I still don't have the ACL. I didn't have to go back and do any surgery on it. So fitness will save you not only from being injured, it will recover from injuries as well, the common kinds of injuries that we see in the SCA. So you want to make sure that you're getting in the gym, you're doing some resistance training, you're doing some cardiovascular training. It doesn't need to be a lot, but fitness is really important.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that one. Everybody in the chat right now can agree with that. We all need to get our asses back in the gym. I mean,
yeah,
minus Bigger Brand because he's already in the gym. You know.
The other thing when you go to the gym is the rule of specificity. Go to the gym and work out muscle groups and muscles that you're going to be using when you're fighting. Don't forget your legs. Never skip a leg day, right?
Ever.
You use your legs a lot when you fight. You don't realize how much you use your legs when you fight. Watch Sean fight. I know he's listening. I'm not going to give away any of Sean's secrets, but you watch Sean fight, you won't think legs are important until you watch him very carefully. Then you realize how important they are. So specifically things like, really, like my favorite chest exercise is still just push-ups. That hits every muscle group that you're going to use in your upper body for fighting.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Yeah, you can't get better than that. You can get on a pec deck or a selectorized piece of equipment, but they are not going to give you that same kind of workout. I just do push-ups. I do about 30 or 40 push-ups every night before I go to bed. And it'll hit everything that you need. So it doesn't have to be a huge workout program, but you need to be putting that investment into yourself. Especially at my age, I'm hitting 50. If I want to be doing this at 60, I've got to be in really good shape. And then the last one I have is going to relate to fitness too, is footwork. This is a severely neglected area in SCA fighting. You kill with your feet. You move your feet, moving your feet set up shots. I can fake shots with my feet. I can give you false intentions with my feet. I can misdirect you with my feet. I don't have to move my hands at all. A lot of setups that I use involve my feet. I have very, very, very specific kinds of footwork that I do. That I have borrowed a lot from traditional boxing, from Muay Thai. Very recently, as of the last 3 or 4 years, I've borrowed quite a bit from Kali and Eskrima. These all work again because they follow the rules of physics and biomechanics. Human bodies are human bodies. It doesn't matter if they're from the Philippines or Japan or Africa, Northern Europe, wherever. It's all the same body. Anything that you can do to kind of help incorporate some movement into your feet. But footwork is something you should be paying attention to. It should be something you should be researching. You should be talking to people about. If you've got static feet, you're going to die. Even if you've got fast hands, if you can't move your feet, you're going to get set up into a position that you're not going to be able to escape from. You're going to get put in the box and not be able to get out. And so feet are the main component. And that's a big difference between a good fighter and a great fighter is footwork.
Truth.
So those are my 5.
Okay, perfect. Let's do a quick recap now that we've got you nice and clear.
Yeah.
digest of each one if you could. I know 1 and 2 were very glitchy. But,
Yeah, so I'll go back over 1 and 2.
perfect.
So number one again is repetition. Repetition means, and I'll explain it a little better this time. Repetition means practicing your techniques the same way every time. Now, there are 2 hurdles that we encounter in the SCA to repetition. One is that since there's no formal system for fighting that is universal in the SCA, you're going to find guys who are going to have a different interpretation of each technique. So every time you practice with someone new, they're going to give you a new opinion on what you're doing. You need to stay open to those opinions, but you do need at some point to decide for yourself, this is the way I throw a flat snap, or this is the way I throw a wrap. You'll have to decide how you're going to do it, and then you're going to have to repeat that over and over and over and make sure you're doing it the same way every time. This is why pells are good early on. I don't do a lot of pel work anymore, but pells, when you're starting fighting and you're trying to get these basics down, that's where you get your opportunity to make sure that you're throwing that shot the same way every time. The second hurdle you need to watch out for when you're doing repetition is something called a training scar. Training scars are when you do something wrong over and over and over. And you need to make sure that if the technique you're using isn't working for some reason, if you're not having at least 80% success with it, I don't mean killing guys, I mean that you're throwing that shot and it's working the way it's expected to 80% of the time, probably need to drop that technique and pick up a new one, because you're headed on a path to a training scar. And these bad habits get ingrained with repetition. So it's a careful balancing act. Repetition is really tricky on that. You have to make sure that you're feeling like you're heading in the right direction. It's good to get the feedback, because sometimes the feedback will tell you that you're not doing it right. If you feel like what you're doing in your repetition isn't working, drop it completely and start over from scratch. Don't try to modify it. Start again. Start over from scratch. It's hard sometimes, but we've all been there. We have all had to do that. The second one, which relates to repetition, is consistency. All right, I think I had those backwards. That's all right. It doesn't matter. Consistency is, again, regular practices, regular participation, making sure that you're getting out there on a consistent basis, and making sure that you are consistently throwing things the same way, using the same techniques on a regular basis. So the first 2 are tied together. Consistent practice can be a problem sometimes, because you might be in a group that doesn't have a lot of fighters, that doesn't have regular practice. In times like this, where we're all isolated in our homes and can't go out and fight, you'll have to get tenacious and get out on your own and figure out ways to make it happen. When you can go to a fight, when you can set up fighter practices, set them up on your own. If you travel to a group, that works. If you can invite people into your area, somehow get to an event, anything you can do to make sure that you're getting consistent practice. If you're just hitting a practice once in a while, like, yeah, this month, maybe not next month, and then maybe 2 or 3 times the next month, then I'll wait, you are not going to see any progress. You want to be sure that you're getting, ideally 2 practices a week are great. If you're getting, but 2 practices a month are better than nothing. Keep it consistent. Make sure that you're working on that. So those are the first 2.
All right. And the next 3 are context, fitness, and footwork.
Yep.
I know we just let Nick in just to see if it was going to stay stable, and it was. And so, Nick, if you have any questions for Duke Floki, I'll let you start. Put him on the spot. And I'm pretty sure you guys know Nick. He's also he's a Blackstone, part of Black Company. His name is Relfane. He actually lives out there on the Wasatch Front. So you've seen him at King of Practice.
Yeah, I think I've met Nick.
Yep. Apparently his silence telling me no. So, Danny, do you have any questions for him? He messaged me and says yes. So just turn on your mic, but leave your camera off, Danny. Oh, we can't make audio.
Okay. That work?
Yep, there it is.
All right.
Yeah.
You got to be smarter than the device, right? So I 100% agree with what you said about footwork, and I think I'm kind of trying to get back on my feet. Do you have any drills or anything like that that you do to train footwork? What I used to do was hang a heavy bag from a tree on the end of like a 20-foot rope, and I would spin it around my yard, and I would do kind of pale work and fight the bag in a big circle. So I had to move out of its way. But I can't do that now. I don't have a tree.
Yeah, I do actually have some specific drills, and I can tell you where you can kind of look at them yourself. So when we talk about movement and fighting, a lot of the time I talk about triangle movements or moving on 45s to your opponent, never stepping straight into the center line on your opponent. You're always moving on an angle to their left or their right. That's a very common fighting technique. You will see it in boxing, Muay Thai, and Kali all the time. I use a couple of Kali drills. I do one called, well, I should preface this by saying that Kali and Eskrima, there's a couple other names for it. They're really all the same martial art. There are slight variations. You'll find different teachers online who will have different terms for things. I call it the diamond footwork drill, which is a technique that you'll see in Kali a lot. But if you get on YouTube and just Google or search on YouTube for videos that are titled Kali triangle footwork, you will see videos of basic Kali footwork drills that work very, very well in the SCA. I've had tremendous success. Kali, for everybody, just so that they all know, that's Filipino knife fighting. But in the Philippines, knives they use are about 11 to 15 inches long. It's what the Navy SEALs learn how to fight with tactical machetes or their K-bars and things like that. They're really simple drills. You can get online and grab a whole handful and just play around with them, watch the video, and you can do them in your kitchen in socks. You don't have to go outside. You don't need any special equipment. You'll be able to, if you Google or YouTube search Kali triangle footwork, there's a whole slew of videos that will pop up. Boxing footwork, also, if you Google some of that, you'll see some stuff pop up. And then the next time I meet, guys, I'm happy to show you the diamond footwork. What the footwork will do is what these drills are designed to do is to move you off center line while you're being attacked. So if you imagine in a fight, you're standing on the center line with your opponent right in front of them and they swing at your head, you're going to be moving offline as that swing comes, and you're going to be moving into a position where you can strike right back. That's the way Kali works. There's no blocking or parrying in Kali. It's almost entirely evasion. So it's a great one to watch for footwork. It teaches you to move both of your feet together and be really quick. I also recommend for footwork not to be in boots. If you've got something with a thick tread and a high sole, that's going to make footwork difficult. If you can get into something with a flatter sole, that would be better. I fight in absolutely period shoes. I've got slick leather on the bottom of mine. They don't have to be that, but if you can get into a flatter, at least into a flatter sole, that will help your footwork a lot too. Is that helpful?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. I'm familiar with Kali and Eskrima, so.
Yeah, and you know, my son takes Kali from a Filipino instructor, and I said, "What's the difference between Eskrima and Kali?" And he said, "The island you grew up on in the Philippines, just local variants. They're basically the same technique." So yeah, any of those will work. Even Muay Thai, if you're a Muay Thai fan, the problem with a lot of MMA videos that you're going to get into, I don't recommend looking at MMA fighters. They're in a very linear stance, and they are in a very linear stance so that when they go into a boxing stance, they don't get a double leg takedown. That's not something we have to worry about, I hope. So don't copy those kinds of footwork. But if you get into Muay Thai, they're very square in their stance because they're trying to set up for kicks. That square stance and some of their kick setups, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but some of their kick setups work great for wraps. I've tried a couple. I tried one out on Lachlan many years ago just to see what would happen, and it was a great setup for that. So any of those videos will help give you just basic stuff that you can do, and they incorporate really easily into other systems because, again, they're based on biomechanics and physics. Those are two laws we all have to obey no matter what we do. So they do work out pretty well. So that's a long answer.
But a good one.
That's a good one.
Sean, do you have anything to add to ask Flóki here, or are you guys content with the meeting? Apparently everybody's having mic issues tonight.
I'm sure Zoom is just being overloaded.
Oh, absolutely.
With everyone trying to talk to family members tonight.
I see 3 people turn their microphones on, so I'm curious to see, or 2 people. Duke Sean strongly agrees with everything that you said. So if you needed some sort of validation, there you have it. So
that's right. Sean and I have only been fighting each other for like 26 years. So
only like 26 years.
Only 26, yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, if that's all everybody has, we're going to keep this one short and sweet. Flóki, we appreciate your time and coming in and doing this. Sorry that it was kind of a glitchy night because Zoom was being overwhelmed. It seems like that's the ongoing case with every single time I've done one of these videos. Something has happened, from Facebook not liking me doing guest hosts, or my internet service provider crapping the bed literally 2 minutes before I was trying to log on, to now Zoom doing all of this. So
yeah.
But we adapt and overcome. So here we are. But yeah, with that being said, guys, we're gonna come bring this one to a close. And if you guys need any help from Flóki, he's got a bunch of weird characters in his Facebook page, but you can find him under Flóki something 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 something. He can probably pronounce it better than I can. So
Yeah, just look up Flóki. It should pop up. And yeah, I've got a bunch of new videos up from Roland Warzeka. If anybody knows who he is, he's the German fencing instructor who's really developed a lot of Viking round shield techniques. I got a video up there that it's awesome. It's super cool. It'll blow your mind. And it will definitely, on that third topic of keeping it in context, he will keep it in context for you. You'll understand watching that video why it's important to have things in context. It's a great video. I just posted it Friday, I think. So check it out.
we will do it. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks.
See you on the next one. Bye.
Yep.
Thank you very much.